Years of loyalty couldn't compete with that one moment of infatuation, the moment he learned he had a terminal illness. The man wasn't worried about himself. He was worried about the person who appeared when he was young, the one who left a mark on his heart. He was worried about the person who treated him like a backup, who treated him badly. Leaving the hospital, Shalin went home in a daze. He knew even when he got home, he wouldn't get comfort or a hug from the one he loved, but he still slowly took out his keys and returned to the home he shared with Song Ye. As soon as he opened them, a wave of choking smoke hit him. Xia Lin focused his eyes and saw Song Yan sitting silently on the living room sofa, head down, holding half a cigarette, his whole body shrouded in swirling smoke. Lin snapped back to reality. His expression immediately brightened. He asked with concern if the man's business trip went smoothly. Song Yan stood up. He grabbed Xia Lin's wrist, his face dark, even carrying suppressed anger. I saw Yu Luotang today. Xia Lin's breathing stopped. His heartbeat skipped 2 beats. Then he heard his own hollow voice ask her. Luotang came back to the country. The mockery on Song Yan's face deepened, even showing deep hatred. So you knew all along he went abroad. Why did you lie and tell me Luotang was dead? You just couldn't wait for him to die. Shelin wanted to explain, but before he could speak, Song Yan's palm struck hard across his face. Xia Lin held back the burning pain on his cheek. He took a low breath. He hoped Song Yan would let him finish. But Song Yan didn't believe him and didn't want to listen. He thought Xia Lin's pitiful act was disgusting. Before leaving, Song Yan told Xia Lin to move out of his house within a day. He wanted Xia Lin to disappear from his world. After Song Yan left, Xia Lin stood there in a daze for a long time, tears of despair gradually welling up. He somewhat resented Yu Luotang for going back on his word, but he hated himself more for being helpless now. He slumped down in the corner, staring at the crumpled diagnosis in his hand. Sitting there until dusk fell. When his emotions gradually calmed down, Xia Lin let out a heavy sigh. Actually, whether Yu Luotang came back or not, he and Song Yan in his lifetime were destined never to grow old together. If that's the case, might as well leave with some dignity. Thinking this, Xia Lin crumpled the diagnosis into a ball and threw it in the trash. Then, he cleaned the room spotless and labeled all the food in the food, sorting them by category. After finishing, he packed his suitcase, took off his house key, and left it on the chute. One last look at this place that held several years of memories. Then he pushed open the door and walked out. He would do as Song Yan wished and completely disappear from his world. Song Yan came home the next afternoon. He said he'd give Xia Lin 1 day to pack and get lost. Unlike when he left, the house was now spotless, not a speck of dirt. Song Yan's first thought was, Xia Lin hasn't left yet. Even now, he still wants to stay here, shamelessly. He rushed into the bedroom to catch him, but he didn't see Xia Lin. He checked the other rooms. Still nothing. Only then did he realize Xia Lin had really left. Before this year, he'd been carrying anger inside, almost losing control from rage. Because of Xia Lin's deception, he couldn't find Yu Luotang in time, so he naturally vented all his anger on Xia Lin. In this matter, he couldn't forgive Xia Lin because Yu Luotang was his bottom line. No one could deceive and play him like this, not even Xia Lin. After silently finishing a cigarette, he went to get water from the fridge. But to his surprise, almost everything in the freezer had a label on it. The labels showed expiration dates and usage notes. He thought Xia Lin was trying to save their relationship with this gesture. So he tore off all the labels and threw them all in the trash to be with the one he loved. He even fell out with his family. Years later, when he was diagnosed with a terminal illness, this man who'd stayed by his side for years, because his first love appeared, not only hit him, but kicked him out. Meeting his first love again, Song Yan was overjoyed. When he arrived at the meeting place, he saw his first love already had someone he loved. To Yu Luotang's left sat a tall, thin man around the same age. They were sitting very close. The man was holding Yu Luotang's hand, playing with it absent-mindedly. This wasn't something ordinary friends would do. Yu Luotang cheerfully called Song Yan over to sit beside them. Then he introduced the 2 men. The moment his guess was confirmed, Song Yan's heart gradually grew cold. During the conversation, Song Yan brought up Xia Lin deceiving him. Yu Luotang was stunned, not quite understanding. Song Yan was silent for a moment, then said, Xia Lin lied and told me you died abroad, that they couldn't even recover your body. It made me suffer, almost unable to go on. I just can't forgive him. Yu Luotang stared at Song Yan in shock. Zan Lan murmured, Xia Lin didn't tell you. Song Yan froze. Yu Luotang pursed his lips, hesitating. Actually, I asked him to help me with that lie. Song Yan shot to his feet, staring at him. What did you say? Yu Luotang was startled. Song Yan realized he'd lost control and slowly sat back down. He held his forehead and asked Yu Luotang what happened. Yu Luotang slowly explained. I was touched but scared. But you're the Song family's only heir. How could your family just let you be? So later, while you were studying abroad in England, your grandfather came to me. He made me realize we couldn't be together. I agreed to his fake death plan. Went to America. So you give up completely. Song Yan hung his head, falling silent. He remembered yesterday, when he slapped Xiaolin without asking. His heart clenched. What was Xiaolin's expression then? He couldn't quite remember. He only vaguely recalled Xiaolin trying to explain, but he had no patience to listen. Thinking about it, he felt more and more agitated. His resentment towards Xia instantly turned to overwhelming guilt. He hurriedly said goodbye to Yu Luoteng and rushed out of the bar. In the past, when they argued, Xiaolin was always the first to give in, but this time, waiting for Xiaolin might be difficult. Song Yan worked up the courage to call Xiaolin after 2 rings. He only heard a cold automated message. Song Yan searched many places, but still couldn't find Xiaolin. 2 days later, while he was feeling down, his phone rang. The caller ID showed Lin's brother, Xia Liang. Xia Liang got straight to the point, asking Song Yan if something happened with Xiaolin. Song Yan was about to explain, but Xia Liang cut him off. Xiaolin saw a lawyer today. Transferred everything to my name. You know what that means. Hearing this, Song Yan was shocked. Those shares were Xiaolin's last lifeline in the Xia family. Now that he'd given all his shares to Xia Liang, he'd completely cut off his own escape route. Song Yan hesitated. He told Xia Liang everything. The whole story. Finally, Xia Liang angrily hung up. While Song Yan was full of regret, he suddenly remembered the notes that Xiaolin left in the fridge. With guilt towards Xiaolin, he walked to the trash like he was possessed and picked up those notes one by one. When he picked up the last note, Song Yan noticed at the bottom of the trash was a crumpled paper ball. The paper looked like some official document. He picked up the paper ball curiously and opened it. He found it was a medical diagnosis about Xiaolin. The boy's passion finally wore out. When his life was about to end, his loved one's confession made him realize again he was just a substitute. Xiaolin was still found by the Xia family. In the following days, Xiaolin had trouble even eating. Xia Liang saw his brother suffering like this and wanted to convince him to try treatment abroad. He'd do whatever it took to help cure him. But Xiaolin didn't want to struggle anymore. He just wanted to spend his remaining days in peace. He didn't want to die on a cold operating table. Xia Liang was about to say, but Zhou Shuo came in and interrupted. He reported to Xia Liang that young Master Song was here. Xia Liang asked Xiaolin if he'd see him, but Xiaolin shook his head. Zhou Shuo saw Xiaolin's firm attitude and spoke up again. Song Yan says if second young master won't see him, he'll wait outside until second young master changes his mind. Xiaolin smiled bitterly. What got into Song Yan? Using all those shameless tactics. He used to chase Yu Luoteng. Xia Liang surprisingly played peacemaker. He told Xiaolin to just see him. Xiaolin said nothing more. Xia Liang stood up and gave Zhou Shu a look. The two walked out one after the other. Song Yan stood in the downstairs hall, looking completely worn out. Xia Liang came downstairs. He told Song Yan to go up. Song Yan's heart leaped. He was about to step forward, but Xia Liang grabbed him. His voice was cold. Xiaolin has almost nowhere to live. I'm letting you see him, hoping you can spark his survival instinct. So you better not disappoint. Song Yan nodded and rushed upstairs. Xiaolin's vision was failing fast. When Song Yan pushed open the door, he only vaguely saw a black silhouette. But Xiaolin knew that was Song Yan, a figure he knew all too well. Song Yan sat by the bed and held Xiaolin's hand, but feeling the touch, Xiaolin instinctively pulled back. Song Yan wasn't used to the Xiaolin. He didn't know what to say. After thinking for a while, he spoke. He first urged Xiaolin to cooperate with treatment, then solemnly promised. 病王起而败场, I'll take you to the Netherlands, or France, either one. We'll get married there. Be together for life. Okay? Hearing the word marriage, Ling's gaze finally focused a bit, seeing Xiaolin finally react. Song Yan's expression grew urgent. I heard the Netherlands allows adoption too. Ew. Do you want a boy or girl? We can have two. One can have your last name. Xiaolin's gaze gradually turned cold. He weakly called Song Yan's name. Hearing Xiaolin call him, Song Yan leaned closer. Xiaolin spoke in a weak voice. 10 years ago when you confessed to Yu Luoteng, you said the exact same things.